Subscribe to my channel for interesting stories.
Story 1. Dead girls don't tell stories. I am welcoming constructive criticism. Thanks if you decide to read. It's just a true fact. Most dead people will never have their life shared to anyone, but I swore Raina I would tell her story. Dear Raina, the loveliest girl I knew. We went to boarding school together, and I was her best friend, and that was everything to both of us. I still remember the day we snuck out and hunted for strawberries, and how sweet the warm, red fruit with sun and sugary juice in every bite tasted. I still remember how brave she was. Our world was filled with fae, and I know yours isn't, but ours is a beautiful place where people believe in things like that because they're true. Fae are a militant race, and you just know they're territorial. So although it was a bit of a shock when they invaded, it made sense when we thought about it. When we found out about that war, Rena looked shocked. That night, I awoke to her sneaking out of our window. I asked what she was doing, and she said, "Marilla, I'm saving us." Her nightdress was so thin and frail, and she was frail like a nightdress when she perched on that windowsill, but I could see a burning fire in her eyes. I remember that morning when everyone was looking for Rena, and I just got my skirt on and told the teachers I didn't know where she went. I remember when we evacuated the school because Fae warriors had invaded and we weren't safe. And I remember the girl in our sanctuary with the flashing, flaming, bright green eyes, and I remember that she must have been Rena. But she looked aged. She looked more mature. She looked stronger. I wish I had run over and embraced her, but I was scared and I could hardly move, and so I didn't even talk to her, but didn't tear my eyes away from her either. That was the last time I saw Rena living. At her funeral, they laid her in a coffin with her sword next to her, and her eyes were closed, and she looked so peaceful, and I felt like the fire that came from her eyes had vanished from her and caught onto my heart. Really, I felt physical pain when she looked so calm, because Rena wasn't calm. She was wild and free and dead. Rena was dead, and there was nothing I could do about it. Serena Fortemeyer, a girl who only embodied her first name when she wasn't around any longer to defy it. And you know, the name Marilla means shining sea, but if I ever shone, I was only reflecting Rena's bright flames. Rena, my warrior princess who kept all of us fighting against the Fae. Dear Rena, I wish you were here alongside me, but I, Marilla, the girl who couldn't before have held a spear to save her life, I will continue to battle at the front lines for your sake. We will win this war eventually, Rena. Story 2, first life lesson after 18. So recently I had my 18th birthday, and in country I live in, it means that I'm a fully responsible adult. I got a lot of money and gifts from my family and decided to get myself a new phone because my old one was really laggy and battery life was bad. I chose to buy a used one by a website called OLX. I have contacted one seller and everything seemed fine. The price was pretty normal for iPhone 13, and we decided to meet for the transaction. My parents told me to make an agreement with the seller, so I did. Everything went just fine. And when I got the phone, I immediately went to buy everything it needed for protection, and I spent 1/3 of price of this phone on it. When I got home, I started to set up my new phone. I found out that it won't read SIM cards. We tried to call the seller by phone number that she gave me, but it was already gone. She's also not answering my messages on OLX. When I checked the agreement, I found out that all of her data is made up. It's pretty noticeable. Her personal government number was super short, and she probably gave me some random numbers. Right now, there's really nothing we can do, and I'm stuck with useless phone because of my naivety. Story 3. My teacher messed with us at my school. In my course, we have a very interesting teacher. In lab today, another teacher mentioned him, saying you'd need to have an extensive psych background to understand him. This was not intended 100% as a compliment, but accurate. Personally, I find this teacher fascinating. He's made no secret of his methods in our class, but it took me a long while to clue in. He messes with us all the time and openly. For example, in one assignment I said, "Makes you think." In class, a few times he looked directly at me while making a point and saying, "Makes you think." There's a lot of double entendres like this and ulterior motives. Sometimes he'll just do or say something to see how you react. and he notices every detail of your reaction. It's a bad class to be in if you're paranoid, because yes, he is actually messing with you. I should also mention half the class is hopelessly infatuated with him and are in the palm of his hand, myself included. I sit next to the only boy in class, and he's had run-ins with this teacher he didn't particularly like. I don't think he realizes the mind games he was having played. It's funny our interpretations of these interactions. My friend almost said, maybe as a guy, he has higher expectations from me than the female students, and that's why he was putting me in difficult situations. Looking back on this, I'm pretty sure now that my friend was actually being messed with specifically because he can't be infatuated and manipulated the way the female students can. The teacher had to go out of his way with some different mind games to hit all the spots and get the reactions. I happen to think this teacher was a little sweet on me and sought my reactions in particular sometimes. As I mentioned, I sit next to the only guy. We're not a couple, but I do treat him differently than everyone else. I'm a little protective. I'm sometimes kinder and gentler to him. The teacher knows this, and I think he finds it cute. The other day, he was using my friend to demonstrate percussing a kidney. This is a nursing course, and looked like he was really wailing on my friend. I'm 90% sure he did this to see what my reaction would be to violence against my little guy. As a control, he even did the same to a female student and probably marked how much more alarmed I was when he did it to my guy friend. Anyway, he plays games and I love games. I wish I had him for more classes. Story 4. I surprised my boyfriend at work yesterday, I-29F. Saw my fiance, 26 meters, at work yesterday. We both work at the airport. He's a construction worker and I'm a police officer. His company office is next to our area, and I saw him at the end of the day. It was funny. He was standing in the doorway of his office and I scared him. I gave him a bunch of hugs and kisses, then said I'd see him at home before going back to our area. At home, my fiance said he wanted me to surprise him more often. The odd time we see each other, we always hug and kiss each other. Story 5. I talked someone off a ledge and then he robbed me. Last night was something else. I got off work around 10 p.m. and was in a rush to get home after a long day. I grabbed my electric skateboard and was chatting with a coworker until we split at a street corner. That's when I saw this man, right in the middle of the road with cars just whizzing by him. He was out there with his arms wide open, crying his heart out. It looked like he was trying to get hit by a car. After he moved off the road, still crying and shouting about how his daughter had just died, everyone around just kept yelling at him. He ended up by the lake, curled up in a ball, sobbing. It broke my heart seeing everyone just walk past him, some even laughing. I couldn't just walk away. I sat next to him, put my arm around him, and just stayed there. He collapsed into my lap, crying uncontrollably for about 10 minutes. I didn't say much. What could I say? Sometimes you just need to be there for someone, you know? When he calmed down a bit, he told me he hadn't slept or eaten for weeks. He was so lost without his daughter and just wanted to end it all. Suddenly, he jumped up and ran towards the bridge, saying he was going to jump. I managed to catch him just in time, and after a bit of a struggle, I talked him down. He was smaller than me, so thankfully, I could hold him back. We stood there at the bridge, and I just kept talking. Everything I'd thought about over the past year after losing my best friend to suicide. We eventually moved away from the bridge, and he calmed down. He was in a really bad spot, though. Homeless, in debt, and completely broken. I offered him some cash, all I could afford, just to do something good, you know? We walked to the ATM, and he even asked if he could ride my skateboard. Back in the day, he used to be a downhill longboarder. He lit up for a minute there, actually smiled as he rode next to me. I withdrew the last bit of money I had, handed it to him, and he thanked me. Said it was his birthday, too. Can you believe that? He asked if he could take one last ride down the road. I figured, why not? I waited by the bridge, trusting he'd come back. And just like that, he was gone, along with my skateboard. I wasn't even mad. I mean, I'd rather lose a skateboard than see another man give up on life. If I had to do it over, knowing exactly how it would end, I'd still let him take that last ride. It's about believing in people, even when it's hard. and that's what I choose to hold on to. Story 6. Terrible experience. I had just a few days ago. I was at my friend's house staying the night with one other friend there with me. During this time, I was sick. However, I thought it was just allergies. Anyway, the night goes pretty normal for the most part. We watch YouTube, play video games, go on Omegle, and sneak out to walk around the neighborhood a couple hours after sundown. We get home, and I end up taking some allergy medicine and drinking some Dayquil and NyQuil, a little bit more than I should have. And after getting bored of being awake around 2:01 or 3:01, we end up falling asleep in the basement. However, I wake up sometime in the middle of the night to be struck by an insane amount of confusion and fear. I was super dizzy, scared, and disoriented, and had no idea why. I was also incredibly confused and barely knew where I was at or what my name was. I get up to go to the bathroom, while the top half of my body twirls slightly as I pee. I see my friend awake and try talking to him, saying like, "Bro, I need help," or "Bro, I'm scared," or "Bro, what the fuck is going on?" Stuff like that. He kind of just brushes it off and assumes I'm being dumb or something, but I was genuinely scared for my life. He gets up to go upstairs and I just lie there, scared and confused out of my mind and not knowing what to do. I was also super congested and was having trouble breathing, so that didn't help. My whole body also felt almost numb. I farted at one point and was so numb and confused for a good 15 seconds, I thought I shit myself. I ended up falling asleep finally and felt a lot more normal in the morning. True story, BTW. Story 7. How life's been. Life story. All right? So my mental health and life has been going to shit. Let's start from the beginning. Shall we? I'd say it all started when an adult in my family did things to me. When I was an age he shouldn't have done. If you get it, I'm sorry. If you don't, bless your heart anyway. After that, I felt something change in me. I didn't enjoy anything anymore. Life was dull, bland, and just gray. I developed attachment problems. I hate being alone, and if I am alone, everything falls apart around me. I need someone to bounce off of. I got depressed. My ADHD got worse and worse. I got PTSD. My mind and body were falling apart. I got angry at everything at life. I hated everything. And then I discovered love God. Do I wish I didn't? Now, if I'm single and alone, I'm suicidal and go after anyone I can see. It's lost me. Lots of friends with. I hate as time continued. My problems got worse and things are blurry for a few years. Of nothing, then cut to a month ago. My stepfather died. It broke what was left. I feel empty and cold, numb to life, more than before. I couldn't react to it because I didn't want to believe it happened. This isn't real, I kept thinking, but this is all I got for now, and I just want to know. Does anyone ever feel the same?
Thanks for watching.